Hi everyone, welcome back. I'm Di and today I'm bringing you another Yarnie update. This is Yarnie update number 13, I believe. Today I have a few works in progress to share with you, a lot of finished objects, and at the end I will be talking about some future knitting plans that I have. My neighbors are playing their music rather loudly in their garage, so if you can hear any of that, I do apologize, but there is nothing that I can do about it. So, since there's quite a few things to get through, let's get started. Let's start with works in progress. In this bag, which I don't think you've seen before, is some old Hawaiian fabric. My mom made me this bag. It's my mom's next pair of socks. And they are the All Is Calm socks by Kay Jones. This is a patron-only pattern for Christmas 2018, I believe. Yeah, I think so. I think it was Christmas 2018. So you had to be patron in order to get this pattern. It was like our Christmas gift from them. And so it is a bit of a lacy design. Let me see if I can show you here. So there is a few eyelets and some ribbing. And I've done this pattern before. In fact, this was my first kind of completed pair of socks, if you will. I had done it for myself when we had gone to Hawaii to visit in January 2019 is when I started it. I did my pair in patent Croy socks. I'm doing my mom's pair in Premier Wool-Free socks, which is an acrylic nylon blend. And it looks like this. Ooh, it's upside down. So it looks like this. And the color is Oceanic. So it is a striping, self-striping sock yarn. And I'm just counting my rows back here for the foot. I am doing these toe up. So that's a relatively new thing for me. Kay also designed the umbrella socks pattern, which was just released recently, and that is her first toe-up design, and so I thought I'd give it a go. So it includes her umbrella toe, so that's this rounded toe design here, and then I just incorporated the All Is Calm stitch pattern for the front portion. I do my mom's socks on a 2.75 needle. These are Knitter's Pride carbons. And I really like them, except the join right here is not smooth at all. So yarn constantly gets stuck there, especially if I am stitching the last few stitches too tightly. I do a 60 stitch sock for my mom, and you can see back here that I have already marked where my heel placement will be. I will be putting in afterthought heels for my mom and trying out that umbrella heel for her. So this is my first work in progress, and I'm really liking how it's turning out. I do like this yarn. It's rather squishy. And I think it will be really comfortable to wear. I do enjoy wearing my All Is Calm socks, and because of the little ribbing on the top, it kind of massages the top of your foot during the day. So that's my first work in progress. My second work in progress is also a pair of socks. This time it's a pair of socks for myself in my, again, Hawaiian print bag, which you've seen before. This is a kind of an experiment. I'm again doing the umbrella socks pattern by Kay Jones. So it looks like this right now. So you can see that the toe is the umbrella toe. But this stitch patterning came from an idea that I had about doing some honeycomb type socks. Several years ago, I had done I think it's called the honeycomb stroller blanket. I had done a honeycomb stroller blanket, and I'll link it down in my notes down below. And I just really like that stitch pattern, and for a while now I've been thinking about, textured socks and maybe doing a little bit of color work. I haven't done any color work socks yet, so I wanted to try some out, and I thought, well, I really like that honeycomb pattern. But let's be honest, I don't need another blanket, especially not a stroller blanket. My daughter is way past that age at this point. But I really like that stitch pattern, and it's really easy to incorporate some color work. And so I had gone ahead and thought about it and thought it would work well for a sock, and cast it on with some gold yarn. Obviously, this is not gold, but that's because the stitch pattern didn't work out. And so by time I figured out how the stitch pattern would work on a pair of socks, I ended up with this type of patterning. And if you can see, it kind of looks like tiny windows. So that's what I'm calling these socks. These are my tiny window socks. The back looks like this. And again, this is just something for me to experiment with and see how I like doing a little bit of color work on my socks. And so far, I'm really liking it. Again, it's nice and squishy because of the garter ridges. And I am using Knit Picks Stroll Fingering. So I'm just using some regular black for the color work. And I'm using Knit Picks Stroll Tonal, which looks like this in the Pacific tonal colorway. So yeah, having a little bit of fun experimenting with some color work and some stitch patterning. And even though they aren't the honeycombs that I really wanted, I'm still very happy with what I'm getting. So yeah, so far so good on those. I do have one more work in progress. However, I will not be sharing that with you at this time. If you've been following my channel for a little bit, I have started posting a new knitting diary. So that knitting diary is on my City Limits pullover or City Limits sweater by Tanis from Tanis Fiber Arts. And so I am slowly putting out progress videos on that project. So if you're interested in seeing what I am doing for my City Limits sweater, be sure to check out my knitting diary episodes on that. I should be having another update on my progress. So by the time you see this video, there should already be 2 videos up in the knitting diary series for the City Limits sweater. And I should be posting my 3rd one shortly. So definitely go check out those videos if you'd like to see my City Limits sweater. So those are the only works in progress I have right now, and that is mostly because I have several finished objects, which is great. So let's get into finished objects. The first finished object I'd like to share with you are my daughter's socks. These are the Neville's Joy socks. The pattern is Neville's Socks by Erica Luter. That may sound familiar to you because Erica Luter also did Hermione's Everyday Socks, which is a very popular pattern. I've also done that one a couple times, most recently for my mom. I think I showed her pair in the last Yarnie update. But my daughter wanted a pair of textured socks, and so these are perfectly textured. I'll bring them up a little closer so that you can see. Ooh. So there is the pattern. It's kind of like the staircases at Hogwarts a little bit. This yarn is Lolo Did It in her color Joy, which is a Christmas colorway. Normally, for my daughters and my socks, I will have enough to do a pair for her and a pair for myself. But that's usually because I'll do contrasting cuffs, heels, and toes. As you can see, this pair does not have contrasting cuffs, heels, and toes. She wanted it all to be one color, so I obliged. I do believe there is enough in the skein to make myself a pair of shorty socks with contrasting cuffs, heels, and toes. And so I will be attempting to do that soon. I did weigh the skein, and I do think I have enough left. But there is a little bit of a sparkle in the yarn. I'm not sure if it's coming across at all on the screen, but it's a little silver sparkle, and I really like them. I'm a little bit jealous. These socks are just slightly different in size. I did this one in the Haya Flyers. I think I mentioned this to you before, which is a type of flexible double-pointed needle. It was my first time using something like that. I do use a 2.75 needle for my daughters and my mom's socks. And I normally do a 44 stitch sock for my daughter. This particular stitch pattern, though, the stitch count needed to be adjusted, so I cast on 48 to accommodate that. But the Haya Flyers, it took me a while to get used to it, and I think because I kept trying to find a way to hold it properly or hold it so that I wasn't like holding on to it for dear life, it did cause a bit of pain in my hands, and I couldn't knit on them for long periods of time. I could only do a couple rows at a time, in fact, and trying to do all of the purling was not happening. I do believe that that type of needle will work well for a plain vanilla sock, so I will be trying it again. But because of the amount of pain that it caused me to stitch this one, I had decided to go ahead and switch to my normal magic loop method. And so that's what I did for this one. And so it is just slightly looser, but you can't really tell, I don't think. So yeah, that's the Neville's Joy socks for my daughter. So the next finished item I'd like to share with you is my Clipped Crows Fly Again sweater. You've seen me working on this for a little bit. This is my Haikyuu inspired sweater, inspired by the anime and the manga by Haruichi Furudate, and I am very happy with it. The main pattern body of this sweater is done from the Alicia pattern by Kim Barnett. And I got the idea to do the multicolor sleeves from the Sock Arms pattern by Stephanie Lotvin. And so we have been massive fans of the series Haikyuu for a while. And shortly after my birthday a few years ago, I should rewind. On my birthday a few years ago, I had gone to see the compilation movie of the third season of Haikyuu at the theater, which was a super fun experience. There were tons of fans there, everybody cheering for the teams and everybody wearing all their gear and stuff, and I didn't have any gear to wear. I don't really wear much fan stuff anymore. I used to when I was younger, and my daughter definitely does, but I don't wear a lot of fan gear. I got a little bit jealous seeing everybody wearing all their fan merchandise, and so I had thought about what I could do to like make some fan gear that I wouldn't feel out of place wearing, I guess you could say. And so I thought, well, you're a maker, you can make something. And so I thought about it, and I had seen the sock arm sweater being presented on, I believe it was the Knit Girls podcast, and she was doing some sock arm sweaters for her nieces. And that sweater uses some self-striping yarn to do the sleeves. So I thought, that's an idea. But that particular pattern is plain in the body. And I know that knitting plain is something that I'm going to get bored with really fast. So I looked for a stitch pattern on a sweater that I thought would keep my interest and still look really great. And I came across this one in my Ravelry library. When I had gotten it, it was a free pattern. It is no longer free, but it's the Alicia sweater by Kim Barnett. So as you can see, it features a V-neck, and it also has this broken rib pattern, kind of in a panel coming down the front. And so I had never done broken rib before, so that was new for me. It's also the same in the back, and I'm not sure if I can, let me turn this around. So it's also the same in the back, but there's no V, it's just a scoop kind of in the back. And so the sleeves kind of look like this. And so it has all of the teams that Karasuno plays from season 1 through season 3. And so I will start from the bottom here. This is Karasuno, so orange and black. I will just briefly mention that my daughter and I were having a little bit of a discussion about what colors to use for Karasuno, because in the anime, Karasuno's jerseys actually look navy blue and orange. But in the manga, it's black. So we decided to go with black. So black and orange for Karasuno. And then these two are Aoba Josai, followed by Nekoma, Tokonami, Date Kyogyo, Fukuro Dani, and you'll notice that Fukuro Dani's stripes are a little bit different from everybody else's. And that's just because going up, I had so much more yellows that I wanted to make Fukuro Dani just a little bit different. Besides the fact I really enjoy Bokuto. And so Fukuro Dani has a little microstripe of black in between their gold and white. And then there's Ogi Minami. And then so then let's switch sides for a little bit so it's a little bit easier for you to see. So we were at Fukuro Dani, and then Ogi Minami, Kakugawa, Jozenji, Wakutani Minami, and of course Shiratorizawa up here. Now Shiratorizawa is not, doesn't have as large stripes, but that's just because of the way that I had gone ahead and done the sleeves. I ended up putting in some set-in sleeves instead of doing the sleeve and then seaming it in. If I had done that, I think you would have a longer section of Shiratorizawa, but I don't like to seam stuff, and so besides the fact that I'm not really great at it, and because this is something that I wanted to wear proudly, especially among other fans, I didn't want it to be something that I was uncomfortable with or would have to think, okay, people are looking at my bad seaming job, or I'm not really happy with how this works and trying to cover it up. I just wanted something that I knew I'd be 100% happy with, and I am. So these are all different yarns. This is probably one of the most expensive projects I've done so far, just because I had to purchase all of the yarn. None of this yarn is yarn that I had in stash. And so each color is new yarn. I ended up with 3 skeins of this gray, which is Cascade Heritage, and I believe the color is just gray. And so within the arm, there is some knit picks, stroll fingering, some ice yarns. This is a Lolo Did It mini skein, and there's a lot more Cascade Heritage and more Lolo Did It, and there's 1 stripe of West Yorkshire spinners. But it was a chore trying to find all of these colors that I thought would be pretty close to the team colors. And you know, buying yarn off of a computer screen isn't always, you're not always going to get what you think, because the colors are different. It's just the way photos work. And so I'm very happy with the colors that I received and the way that it looks. One other note here is that I did make the cuff gray, and that is not because the body of the sweater is gray. It's because in the 2nd season, I believe, of Haikyuu, Hinata introduces himself as being from the concrete, and I thought, okay, so since we're going to be working our way up to the top, having the cuff be gray would be perfect, because it's like they're coming from the concrete. Originally, I was going to have it so that Karasuno was up here at the shoulder, and the more I thought about it, and the more I thought about what I named the sweater, since it's the Clipped Crows Fly Again, I wanted it to reflect them rising to the top. And so that's why Karasuno is down by the wrist and Shiratorizawa is up by the shoulder. So them playing all of these teams getting to the top, you know, kind of driving their way to get to this game right here. And I came up with this idea way before we even knew that a 4th season was coming. But I'm glad I decided to go with the seasons that I had decided on, because the number of stripes in the sleeve is perfect. I had no problems trying to figure out how long each stripe should be, and it just so happened to work out that it was the perfect number of stitches for the length of my arm. So that was great. I am very happy with this project, and yeah, I don't do a lot of fandom based projects, I guess you'd call them, but I really should do more. This is the first time that something has really inspired me, and it had a lot to do with being among other fans watching the same thing. The vibe is just different when you're with other fans and you kind of feed off of their reaction on things. And though I had seen the third season about 3 times before I went ahead and saw that anime compilation film in the theater, it was just different. It was more exciting, and it was thanks to that it inspired me to create this project. So yeah, I'm very happy with that, and I'm very happy to have it off the needles. Of course, it's way too hot to wear it right now, but I will be excited to wear it later this year. So my next finished object is another pair of socks. This pair is for me, and I had mentioned Kay's umbrella socks, and so I have already done a pair for myself. These have not been blocked, so they are still very crunkly. But these are the umbrella socks. They are a toe up with an afterthought heel, and I just did these as a plain like vanilla sock. So let me put this one down and get a little bit closer for you to see. So this is the same yarn that I just talked about in my Clip Crows Fly Again sweater. This is the West Yorkshire Spinners 4-ply signature sock yarn in sour apple. And then I had this skein of the West Yorkshire Spinners from the bird collection. This is the peacock, so it's a self-striping, and it just works. It was perfect because this stripe right here matches this color right here. And so I did these on a size 2. No. So I did these on a size 2.25 millimeter needle, 64 stitches, and this is a true afterthought heel. So I knit the tube, finish with the ribbing, and then cut into the heel, and then worked the heel and grafted it together. And so you can see that the umbrella heel is a bit like the umbrella toe. I've never done afterthought heel socks before, so this was my first attempt at that as well. But I do enjoy Kay's patterns. This pattern is from Kay Jones of the Baker Bears podcast, and this particular pattern has video instructions, little helpful video tutorials on how to do things. One of those things being how to cut into your afterthought heel and all of that. And it was super helpful. I didn't have a problem with it at all. I hear a lot of people talk about how true afterthought heels don't fit them well. And I've tried these socks on and they fit fine. I'm very happy with them. And so I don't know like what a true afterthought heel like would feel like, but these socks work fine for me, and I don't think that I'd be trying a regular afterthought heel. What I do know is that the next pair that I make for myself, I do need to make the foot just slightly shorter. I had heard that when you measure your foot for afterthought heels that the measurement's slightly different from when you do a normal heel flap and gusset, which is my normal heel method. But when I measured my foot and then measured to where I needed to be before marking my heel. I just went ahead and went with that calculation to make these socks, and the foot is a little too long. So when I make my next pair, I'm just going to go with my normal amount of rows to do a regular heel flap and gusset sock, and I believe that's going to work fine. So yeah, really excited to have another pair of socks in my collection. Also really excited to have another sock to add to my Bakery Bears sock box collection. I wanted to have a pair of Bakery Bears socks, at least 12 of them, so do one a year, one a month every year, and that didn't work out for me last year, but it'll be nice to have all different types of case socks. I do own several of them, being a patron. I do have a few of their free Christmas gifts, and I do support them by purchasing their patterns as well. And so yeah, super happy with these. So my next finished object is my daughter's flax sweater. Flax is a free pattern from Tin Can Knits. This is the second flax that I've made. I made one for myself in Lion Brand Mandala yarn, and this one is done in Karen Cakes in the Fairy Cakes colorway. It is very much my color. I'm very jealous. As I was knitting this up, I kind of looked at her. I was like, and she's like, nope, it's mine. And so, yeah, the last time you saw this, I was, let me see. I was down here. So I was down here. And so I had to do just a few more rows, and then I bound off on the ribbing. And then you can see that the ribbing is just a lighter color. And I really, when I work one of these out of a cake, I just work it the way it comes out of the ball. So I started with the ball. She wanted the darkest yarn at the top. And so I worked the ball until I think it's like around so I worked the ball until here. So one ball was up until here, and then you can see there's a little bit of a difference in between these two stripes. And so the body is worked in the round, and then you take the sleeves off and then just continue down the body. And so when it came to the arms, you can see here that there is a slight color discrepancy right there, but that's just kind of the way it works. Since I'm pulling out of the cake, I never really know like what color is gonna come out. Like I try to get to the color that I think it's gonna be. Obviously I didn't do quite a good job because I should have just kept pulling out, but the way that this cake was, there was no way for me to do that, to get this color up here, because that kind of matches better. But I just start as close as I can, and then just work it down. And then she wanted this like darker turquoise here for the sleeve, and then the dark turquoise for the cuff. So this sleeve is a little bit different. The way this one came out was just about right. You can't see. So this one came out just about right. I don't see any color discrepancy there between here, which is where I had the stitches on hold, to where I joined in the ball, and then it went down to that lighter turquoise. I did this turquoisey color again, regular turquoise, into the cuff. So it's kind of a Frankenstein-ish sweater, but she's still very happy with it, and I'm actually pretty happy with it too. So yeah, that's my second sweater, I think, for my daughter this year. Yeah, so I had done her the cocoon pullover like in January or something, and so this is the second one. And so now she's got one to wear, or two to wear later this year. She's already worn the cocoon sweater a couple times. She really enjoys it. So I think there's nothing more satisfying than seeing the person that you make something for wear it and enjoy wearing it. And yeah. So I've got one more finished object to share with you. Since it's the last finished object, I'm just going to leave my daughter's flax sweater up here. But my last finished object is another pair of socks. These are crunkled socks that I made for my mom. I actually cast them off on Mother's Day, so I was able to give them to her on Mother's Day. Crunkled socks is a pattern by Kay Jones, again, from the Bakery Bears. My mom really likes to have some texture in her socks, hence all of the other socks that I've made for her. The Peter socks had a bit of texture. Those All Is Calm socks have some lace/ribbing texture. The socks, the Hermione's Everyday socks have some texture, and so these also have some texture. Let me just see if I can get a little bit closer so you can see. It might be a little bit hard to see because of the stripes, but this is another self-striping yarn, again from Premier Wool Free Socks. This color is Rainforest. And these don't match at all. I don't strive to make my self-striping socks match, but my mom doesn't mind. And so again, I did a 60 stitch sock on a 2.75 needle. And yeah, she prefers her socks short, and so that's what she gets. All three of us, my mom, my daughter, and I, we all have the same like foot length, so it's pretty easy to like do socks for all three of us. It's just we all have different circumferences, so we all use a different number of stitches. But that's really easy to remember. So yeah, she's happy to have another pair of socks. That's my mom's fourth pair of socks. I think that's my mom's fourth pair of socks that I've made for her. So no. That's my mom's third pair of socks. I'm working on the fourth pair of socks. But yeah, so those are all of my finished objects. And because I've been doing such a great job at finishing projects, I don't have a lot of works in progress. So I want to talk to you guys about a couple things that I'm planning to work on soon. One of those things being the campsite cardie. There is a knit along being done by Pearl Together. I think her name is Jana over at Pearl Together. I'll link it down in the description box below in case you're interested. But she's hosting a knit along for the campsite cardie by I can't remember. I'll link it down in the description box below as well. But I just received my yarn for that, so I haven't even swatched or anything yet. But that's something that I'd like to cast on pretty soon. I'm doing that City Limits sweater in conjunction with another knit along hosted by Hand Me My Knitting and Pip and Pin, the City Limits Cal. I don't think I'm going to be able to get my City Limits sweater done before the Cal is over. But Amy from Stranded Dye Works just announced a moral along, I think that's what she called it. Again, links down in the description box below. And so obviously the City Limits sweater is something that would qualify for that with the way that I'm doing it. Because I am holding 2 fingering weight yarns together to create that. My last project that I have in mind to work on is actually a project that I have had as a languishing whip for a while. So a while ago, the Grocery Girls were on Craftsy. This was before they were bought and became Blueprint, but they had a show called Off the Needles. And one of their knit-alongs was The Novelty by Laura Nelkin, I believe. I'll link it down in the description box below as well. But Craftsy was selling kits to do the knit-along, and so I bought one. I have most of the yarn here. Hold on a second. So I have most of the yarn here, and you can see the bag says Craftsy. This yarn is a burgundy Pima cotton yarn, I believe. Yeah, burgundy Pima cotton DK. And I've worked with Pima cotton before, and I really enjoyed it. Ooh, that's upside down. So this is DK Pima cotton, made in Peru, and it's the Cloudborn brand. So I have quite a few skeins in that bag, as you can see. And I did actually cast that on a while ago, and it's been sitting in this bag that my mom had made for me. Again, almost all of my bags my mom made for me, and if she didn't make it for me, I probably bought it from Utterly Adorable Knits. I really enjoy her bags as well, and so yeah, those are pretty much the only 2 project bags that I have, my mom's or Utterly Adorable Knits. But anyway, I had cast this on a while ago, and you can see, I think this is where I was when I showed it to you last. And so the construction of this shirt is rather interesting, because you start at the sleeve and then you increase and add all of the stitches for the body. So you can see I have a provisional cast on. And so I've done the sleeve, and I've done this much, 2 inches maybe, of the body, and then I put it away and didn't work on it for a really long time. With it being summertime right now, I just lost some stitches, or getting to there anyway. It's not summer quite yet. But I wanted to work on another summery project, and since I already had one on the Neils, I didn't want to start another one. I wanted to finish that one first, and so I think this will be the next garment that I work on for myself. I do really like this. This lace did take a little bit of work to remember how to do it, but yeah, I'm really looking forward to having this garment to wear. It's a really nice color, and I'm really liking the yarn. It's very smooth, and that's kind of why it's always slipping off my nails too. I just had to fix it a little while ago. But yeah, so decided to brush off an old languishing whip. And so I hope to have some progress on that soon. But that's pretty much all I've got to talk to you about today. Let me know what you've been working on, or if you worked on any of these designs, or what you think about Afterthought Heels. Is it something that you always do? Is it your go-to sock knitting method? Afterthought Heels is something that I've been exploring just with the umbrella socks pattern, but I really haven't decided whether or not I am going to make it my go-to pattern or not. My go-to design for Afterthought Heels, or toe up. I've always done top down since I started learning how to do socks, and I do still find the toe up method to be a bit fiddly, especially because you start with so little stitches. But I definitely think it has its uses, and it'll be something that I'll utilize in the future. You can see that I have been using it quite a bit, because it is something that I'm still testing out and want to see how I feel about it. But so far, so good. And yeah, I think that's all I've got to talk to you about today. I hope you're all doing great. I hope you're all safe and healthy. And until next time, take care and smile always. Bye.